Hello everybody, and thanks for watching this Ozone Chelan Open 2022 video. Thanks to Ozone, Northwest Paragliding, and Kavu, and all these other nice sponsors. We are gonna watch the task briefing of task number 1.
Not the start, the takeoff point. So certain instruments require you to put in a takeoff point, which will be a small cylinder around launch. If you use like an UDI, for example, I don't even put in a takeoff point. I only put in start of speed is my very first turn point. XE Track on Androids likes to have a launch point in there, so depending on your instrument, you either include this very first point or you don't. So it's not super important. The scoring starts at start of speed anyway, so there were no actual real changes to the task. For the launch, it's 400 meters typically at.
Okay. Yeah, just to let you know, on the new QR code, the time is on the launch, not on the start. The time. So
on the XC track.
All right, we haven't announced the start time. We're going to finish this briefing, and for those that want to visualize the task on the map board over there at the tent, we're going to move over there. Once everybody's checked that out, we're giving out some day prizes. We're going to set a start time. We're going to give you guys roughly an hour and a half to get everybody safely off the butte and get in position for the start. So that should be plenty of time for you guys to get off the hill and get up to base. Tim, there's some trackers still?
Yeah, we got about 15 people who haven't picked up trackers yet.
All right. Well, not right now. Wait till after this briefing. There's 15 people that haven't got their trackers. If you do not pick up your trackers, you do not score for the day. So please get those from Tim. So the start is an exit start, and it is a 3-kilometer radius around the butte. The first turn point is a 10K radius out on Withrow. And then you're going to go south for about 5 kilometers to a 5-kilometer radius around Waterville, which is that town just behind that orange glider out there. And then you're going to be going to a 15K cylinder on Bridgeport, which is kind of off the northeastern end of the flats out there, and then with a goal of 2-kilometer end of speed around Mansfield with a 400-meter cylinder. And so that goal field is pretty wide open. It's a football field, so there's goalposts, so please be aware of the goalposts. And be aware there's some school buildings, possibly Dust Devil over there. Be aware if there's a strong south or southwest wind, don't land in the lee of the buildings. Okay. Today is the first task, and it is an odd number day, so our turn direction is going to be from the left. We'll alternate every day. The safety frequency is 158400 as announced last night on the chat group. Please take a photo of this so you've got these phone numbers. The safety frequency for our EMT is Seth, and he's on this number. This is Phil Moeller's number, and this is Goose's number. So those guys are going to be your SMS and telephone contacts if you need to contact Retrieve. 151625 is a radio frequency you need to change to when you're on the ground to try to get in touch with the Retrieve drivers when they're driving around. Owen, did the weather already?
No.
Owen, can I get you here real quick to talk about the weather, please?
All right, so already we're seeing some slight variation from the forecast to the current conditions. We run some risks of some overdevelopment, which we saw kind of come in from the north there. We're also expecting maybe a little bit of overdevelopment down near Badger Mountain and Waterville. That seems to be in check right now, but top lift is kind of expected to be somewhere in the 7,000 to 8,000 foot range. Winds light out of the south, rotating around clockwise to the end of the day around west-northwest at about 10 knots. So light winds, probably less than 5 knots, clocking around to the west-northwest throughout the day. We will have to keep an eye out for overdevelopment on course. However, we've placed the task in probably the best location on the flats possible. So, any question on weather? cold? Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but not below freezing. So that's good.
Thank you, Ron. All right, guys. If it does overdevelop and I need to stop the task, I will be the only person announcing that on the radio, and I'll be saying stop task. Please, if you hear that, pull big ears and go on land. If it's safe to do so where you are. If it's windy where you are, or if it's raining where you're headed or whatever, fly to a safe landing spot immediately and land. The big airs is to help identify to all the other pilots that may not be listening on the radio that the task is stopped. One other thing, nobody asks on the radio if the task is stopped. Okay, I am the only person who uses the word stopped on the radio. You can ask, please tell us the status of the task, but nobody asks if the task is stopped or cancelled. Okay, anything else, Nick? Nope. Cool. All right, guys. You've got the task. We're not going to announce the times just yet. We're going to keep an eye on the wind dummies. And for those that would like to visualize the task and get a bit of a breakdown from the mentors, there's a map over there on the board where the trackers are being handed out. You can go over there. Austin's going to run through the task with you, and we'll give out some day prizes.
I'm going to go over the task and talk about some of kind of my local knowledge and how I would go about flying this task today. So we have a 3-kilometer cylinder around the butte as our launch. I'm going to try to get as high as possible and time it. So I'm at really this edge of the cylinder as high as I can right when that start time happens. The next move is one of the cruxes of the day, and that's crossing the river, getting established in the flats. So let's talk about that a little bit. I like to do it high. I like to do it with other people. There's a row of power lines running right in the flats, maybe a mile over the rim, a little bit less. That's usually where I'm aiming for. That's your first kind of consistent trigger as you cross the river and try to get established on the flats.
It might mean that you have to deviate off course line a little bit, but really when I'm crossing the river, my main goal is to get established. It's not really to make progress down course line. So then we're going to be tagging a 10-kilometer cylinder on Withrow. That's this here. Then we're going to be making a right-hand turn, tagging a 5-kilometer cylinder around Waterville. Waterville is a town that's pretty obvious out in the flats. You can actually see from launch. This leg's going to be slightly into the wind. So going into the task knowing that, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative on this leg here. It's not very long, but it's early in the course, right? So I'm not really racing at this point in time. I'm just trying to make sure I don't land, being conservative with my height, using other pilots. We're going to tag a 5-kilometer cylinder on Waterville. Then we're going to start heading northeast to a 15-cylinder on Bridgeport, which will not really even take us near Bridgeport, but it's right here. We're going to be tagging that. And then we have a final glide into goal in Mansfield with a 2-kilometer cylinder around Mansfield for end of speed. The wind should be kind of like this today. So we designed this course so that the crux of getting established, we're going straight downwind, so it should give more people the opportunity to get established on the flats with an easier glide. And instead of just going downwind, because we're seeing a lot of overdevelopment in this area, we're going to be quartering the wind on 2 different legs, and then our final glide into goal will be somewhat of a downwind glide into goal. Pretty straightforward. We were keeping you guys over roads for the most part this task. This main highway here is quite easy to identify from the air. Mansfield, the goal, is really the only other significant town out there. So it should be a good day for everyone to get familiar with the flats and the landmarks out there. Waterville town in the south, Mansfield town up in the north. Yeah. Sorry?
What is the LZ?
The LZ is the high school in Mansfield. It's a football field. If you don't feel comfortable landing with the goalpost there, there's plenty of fields just outside the high school that you can safely land. It's pretty massive. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions on the course today? No?
Is there kind of a pattern for landing, or?
No. Just be aware of other pilots coming into land and land into the wind, please. Any other questions, Phil?
Is it worth mentioning about end of speed section?
Sure, yeah, we do have a lot of new pilots. Thank you, Phil. So, end of speed, right? So our time stops when we hit end of speed. So I'm racing to end of speed, and then I'm, flying slowly to goal and taking my time, being conservative, and that's designed so we're not racing all the way to the ground. So it's a safety feature, right? So you're gonna time your glide to get to goal, so you can make sure you land in goal. But we're stopping racing once we get to end of speed. You just need to make sure you tag the goal field to get your points. But once you hit end of speed, come off bar, relax, but stay on point because you're coming in near the terrain, you're coming into land, but don't be full speed all the way into the goal field. There's no reason to do that. It's unnecessary. Is that what you had in mind, Phil?
Yep.
Cool. There shouldn't be any hazards between on our final glide into goal. It's pretty flat out there, and there's fields on the road.